Welcome to Afros in the Diaspora. My name is Sarah. I am your host, and together we will vent, rant, laugh, and cry as we discuss the highs and lows of being an immigrant. Stay tuned for stories that will inspire, inform, entertain, and give hope. This is Afros in the Diaspora. Welcome to the Afros in the Diaspora podcast. Pulga, you are our guest for today. I'm so excited to have you. I'm so excited to chat with you. It has been a great time working with you. Yeah, how are you feeling? Tell me.
I feel blessed, I'm good. I'm just, excited and thank you so much for inviting me. It was nice to when I worked with you on Death and the King's Horseman and then having you invited me to be a guest on this podcast. It's nice. So I'm good. Thank you.
Yes, glad to hear.
Mhm.
So, we are going to start with a couple of icebreakers, okay? So, first thing you're going to do for me today, you are going to answer a riddle.
All right.
You have 1 minute to answer this riddle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And with this riddle, you get a hint. So if you want me to repeat the question and give you a hint, you get a hint. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. I am not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. What am I?
Can you repeat again? Wow.
Yes. I am not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. What am I? And your hint, it is always hot.
Oh,
And your time starts now.
man, this is a hard one.
The answer is really simple. I promise.
Ah,
You got
is it?
this. Yes, it's
Is
really
it?
simple. Yes.
Man, I can't find it.
I'm hot. That's your hint. I don't have lungs, but I
Yes.
need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. What do you think is hot that water can kill?
Okay, all I can think is fire.
Fire! That's the answer.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Wow. Why was I thinking too much when the thing is like so essential to life and we all know what it is? I'm like, of course it's fire.
Exactly.
Even though you push me towards the answer so much.
I basically fed you the answer.
There you go. I know, right? So clear,
That's
yeah.
okay.
So I'm proud of answering though, even though you gave me the answer, but it came out of my mouth, so I feel good.
Yeah, and you should. Our second icebreaker for today. I know you grew up in Mozambique, and we'll hear a story in
Mm-hmm.
a little while. But did you
Mm-hmm.
grow up hearing all these myths that grown-ups tell to children to kind of keep them in line? An example of one I heard all the time: if you eat the seed of a fruit, the fruit will grow in your belly. So if you were, eating an orange and you swallowed one of the seeds, you were,
Mm-hmm.
a tree was about to start growing in your belly.
Right. Yeah. That is very I'm familiar with that one. Yeah. There's one that I remember like I think my parents used to say if you lose a teeth, you have to speed up, not down, if you want your teeth to grow. So you
What?
literally it's so strange because like there's that myth that you have to put the teeth under the bed or the one that you have to throw the tooth on top of the roof.
Ah,
Yes, that's another one.
why? What? Why the roof?
That's a good question. They said it's the only way you can throw your loose tooth is on top of the roof, and then later maybe the bird will take it away somewhere, and then magically your tooth is gonna grow. If you
Mm.
don't throw it there, you will never gonna grow your tooth again. Some other people would say if you lose your teeth, you have to speed it. The blood that comes out of it, of course, you have to speed it up into the air, not down into the ground. Right? I'm like, now that I'm in Canada, I'm like, what was that about? Why? Like you literally have to face the sky and speed up, and then that's it. The ancestors somehow. I'm like, wow, this is
Wait,
insane.
wait.
Yeah.
But if you
Mhm.
spit up, wouldn't it come right back to your face though?
No, but you speed sideways too, and then you avoid it.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, the other one that I remember, like for example, this only was for guys. If you want to pierce your ear, you only have to go to a lady over 70s, and like ladies that are widowed, because if a female put a needle in your ear to pierce you, and then they have some sexual relationship the next day, your ears will swallow. Like whoever makes the hole in your ear cannot have sex the same day.
Wow.
Yes,
I've never heard that one before. This is my first time ever. So if someone that is sexually active pierces your ear, then your ears will swell up and just grow bigger?
correct. Bigger than the other one. So it's funny because I have an ear piercing. I have it on my left ear because it was done by this lady, and she's like, she's older. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go to a young lady and do that. Then they have like a boyfriend or something. So now I think about it, I'm like, wow, can't believe I believed on that.
Did something like that happen to someone that they just assumed the reason they had a swelling was because
Uh-huh.
of the person that pierced it? Was that based on like something that actually happened?
No, just something that
Nope.
they believe. No, and it's funny because if they saw a guy with a ear that is swollen for whatever reason, they just assume like, "Ooh, who did your ear?" Then they'll be like, "This person, oh my god, this person, had sex last night or something." Then they'll make up stories and stuff.
This is too funny.
Oh yeah,
This is too
yeah.
funny. Another one
Hmm.
that I grew up hearing actually was if you chew chewing gum,
Hmm.
right? If you chew gum and you swallow it, as a
I know.
woman, you would no longer be able to
Ooh,
have kids.
are you serious?
Yes. I heard that it will go down and block like the place where babies come out, that you would never have a kid again. Like there's so
And
many
then when
crazy.
and when you think about it, how many women have swollen gun before? Gun before? Everybody
Most
have.
people like at least once.
Right. And they all have kids now at this moment, most of them at least. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so made no sense. But as
Mm-hmm.
kids, we
Yeah,
believed it because our parents didn't want us swallowing gum, basically,
I know.
right?
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So let's get into our topic for today.
That sounds exciting. Yeah.
And we're
Uh-huh.
just gonna chat. We're gonna talk about your story, Polga,
I
as an
like it.
immigrant. I know you. I know you as an amazing artist based here in Canada. I know you as a dancer. You own your dance company. I know you as an
Yeah, boo.
actor, a fantastic
Yeah, boo.
actor. But
Oh, come on
you
now.
weren't born in Canada, right? You have a beautiful story, and I just want you to
Hmm.
share it with us. I just want you to
Yeah.
just give us the highlights of your story of moving to Canada.
Wow. This is all beautiful. Yeah, thanks for this question. I feel like I've explained this story many times that every time I share this story, I tell it differently because, like I feel, but the story is the same, like the energy changes, but the story is the same. So, yeah, I mean, I was born in Mozambique, born and raised in Mozambique. And I used to be a professional youth soccer player with a junior team in Mozambique. And that was my goal. My dream was to be a soccer player, like that's all I watched. I wanted to be a soccer player. I wanted to be a soccer star, like every other child, every other kid wants to be a big star. You know what I mean? Like that was the dream. Oh my god, I want to be like Messi and Ronaldo, those guys. But one day, my father used to come and watch me play all the time. But one day we had a final game, and like back home when there's a final game, there's like a ritual, music, drumming, everything that happening in the field. And I'm there warming up, and then I saw this traditional African dance group performing. Men and girls and everybody full of drummers, everybody with the makeup, paint and face and traditional ritual outfit. I'm like, wow, this is nice. So I go there. I'm like, hey, can I try and learn this thing that you guys are doing? It looks fun. They're like, yeah, come down. We don't get paid. So if you want to dance, just come. We have a rehearsal on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm like, okay, Monday I'm coming. So I went and I took my first dance class. And actually, 20 years ago this year, that was my first dance class. And I loved it. I know, 20 years ago, I'm like, how the time flies so fast? And I loved it. It was just me and this girl because people, there's the dancers, they knew the dance so much that they barely show up to rehearsals. They just show up to performance because they knew it. So I go to rehearsal, just me and this new girl. We're like learning and stuff. And then, within 3 years, I was getting it. I was practicing. I was getting better and better and getting better and better. I feel like, wow, this thing is actually taking my life now. I think that's what I want to do now. Completely forgot about this soccer dream that I had. Now I want to be the best dancer that I can be, Yeah, that was it. And then we were like dancing, and then there was a group of missionaries, Canadian missionaries that were doing like church work in Mozambique at the time. And they came to one of rehearsal one day and they were like, hey guys, we have this group from Canada that want to come and work with you guys and do some kind of workshop in theater. They're like, yeah, why not? And that's when a year later in 2006, 2005, a group of Canadians actually came to Mozambique, four of them, to do a Shakespeare Midsummer Night Dream in Africa with the company I was dancing with. So we did 1 month intention of like creating this play into movement. They came to Mozambique with like the entire Shakespeare play script and realized that we mostly dance, we don't memorize script, and so they had to cut all the scripts out.
That's
They
what I
had a few
thought.
scripts here. I know, right? I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess this big, long 3 hours play, we are gonna find a way to make it into 1 hour. So we did a Shakespeare play, Midsummer Night Dream in Mozambique, and then that's the moment when I met Kathy McKinnon, who is the voice coach in Stratford. She was the director of Shakespeare Link, the company that went to Mozambique to work with us. So Kathy asked every member of the company, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's your dream? Write it down." Everybody got a pen and paper. I was writing down in Portuguese. Everybody have the same story. I want to be the best dancer I can be. I want to go to dance school if I can. I want to be a professional. I want to make money out of this thing because we didn't see the future financially there like that. So that's what I said. For me, I was like, every time I saw like a ballet dancer, I'm like, I want to learn how to point my feet. I want to do contemporary dance. I want to learn contemporary dance, and I want to be a African dancer, mix up African and contemporary dance. That was my dream. I want to mix this thing. So Kathy and the group, they left, and then they sent an email saying like, you know what, we want to bring you guys next year to Canada and come and do workshop and perform this play that we created together here and bring it to Canada. We were like, oh, okay, sure. Promise like that we've heard before many times. Is this gonna happen? Who knows? I didn't take it very seriously until they asked everybody to get their passports done. I'm like, whoa, passport. This is the first time I had a passport now. I never thought about I'm gonna have a passport. I never thought I'm gonna be able to fly in a plane before. I was like, so this thing that I wrote it down in this piece of paper, it might come to life one day. So I go home and I told my sister, oh, I'm getting my passport. I might be going to Canada one day. My sister's like, oh, you're going crazy, stupid. What are you talking about? Get out of here, man. I don't want to hear this nonsense. Like nobody believed it. I'm like, well, we'll see. And then bang, we had passport with Canadian visa on it. I was like, wow, this is getting crazy. It's real. And now in 2006, that's when we got our tickets and everything. I'm like, okay, we're going to Canada next month. My sister did not believe. So I went to the market. I went to, the markets, traditional market. They said clothes on the floor, right? In piles, put like, yeah. So you lift it up and you put it down until you find the right one. I was choosing the best outfit because I'm going to Canada. I want to show up looking fly.
Yep. Yep.
So I picked whatever I thought it was the best. When I look at the pictures now, I'm like, what was I wearing? But literally, I was wearing like white pants with sandals and socks. Who wears that?
Ooh.
Unless you're grandpa. Yeah,
You apparently.
exactly. And I thought it was fashion. I thought I was looking good. So I took my stuff and I'm ironing. My sister's like, wow, you actually flying today? Excuse me. I said, yeah, I'm going to Canada. She's like, she doesn't believe it. So this truck with the musicians playing drum on top of the truck, they came to my house to pick me up. They're going to pick up every dancer that's supposed to come, 16 of us on that truck. So my neighborhood, once they hear this loud drum coming from a truck, every child, when kids hear a sound like that, every child just runs into the streets like, what's going on? They're like, oh, Uncle Pulga is traveling to Canada today. Uncle, when I'm saying uncle, I'm still like young, but those kids, they'll
Yeah.
call you uncle because that's how it should be. It's
Oh, I
respect.
know. Of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I train my kids to do that. Everybody that come to my house that is older than me, that is my age, that is older than them, it's uncle and auntie. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it
We
was
don't
like,
call people by their names.
no, no, no. I only found out when I came to Canada. You don't do that back home.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the kids, oh, Uncle Pulga is leaving. My sister's like, she couldn't believe. I'm hugging people, saying goodbye. I'll be back in 1 month. We're going to Canada, do the show, come back. All right, we drove to the airport. We did the check-ins and everything. I'm sitting down waiting for the flight, and then someone calls me, say, Pulga, there's your sister's waiting for you outside. I'm like, what do you mean? My sister walked for like 40 minutes to the airport to come and say goodbye. She actually literally wanted to see the airplane leaving. She's like, this is not real, you know. And my sister's like someone who raised me, so I think she was also afraid. She's like, I just want to make sure that you're actually being taken by the right people, yeah, that you make it alive, that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, but when I'm gone, you won't be able to take care of that. But I appreciate the concern though. So I, say goodbye. I go, we came to Canada and 16 of us enter Toronto, big city. We felt like stars, Cars pick us up and drop us off. And I was like, this is a privilege. You get picked up in your house by car and be dropped by a rehearsal space and do show. And then the car is waiting for you and then take you to the next location. I'm like, wow, this is real life. This is actually something I love, privilege. I've never had that before. And a month goes by, even actually before the time was over, Kathy comes to me with the dictionary and she asked me if I want to stay here and go to a dance school. And she will pay for my tuition and take care of me and all of that. Yes. And I did not speak English. So this all was on a dictionary, word by word. Yeah,
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, what's going on? Then I had this flashback of that dream that I had about like becoming a soccer player. I'm like, maybe the dream now is actually performing on the biggest stage in the world.
Wow.
So I said yes. The vision was clear. I said yes. I'm doing it. And bang, the company was leaving. But actually, before that, the company members were like, no, because Pulga, you have to go to Mozambique first and then ask your parents for permission. We brought you here. We want to make sure that whatever happens to you is nobody's responsibility. Then I told them, guys, I'm 18 years old and I think I'm old enough to make my decisions. And also, I know if I go to Mozambique, this opportunity probably will be lost. So
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
you see what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said yes. Kathy took me to school the next day. I mean, when the tough part for me was when those guys were heading back to Mozambique to the Mozambique. So we went to the airport. We were like saying goodbye, and then I was in tears because I realized like now I'm gonna be here alone, even though I have
Mhm.
Kathy and people. There will be people supporting me, but I'm like I'm gonna be alone. I don't know
Mhm.
anybody. Culture. I don't know the culture. I don't know the language. I don't know how to
Mhm.
communicate. I don't know how to
Yeah.
ask questions. I don't
Yeah.
know how to answer questions. So I'm gonna be literally alone inside, emotionally, mentally. I'll be alone here. So I said
Wow.
goodbye. Those guys left. I was crying and stuff. And then that was it. I did, somehow I found the strength to make it. I did 3 years of school, contemporary dance school. And then I did audition for Toronto Dance Theater, which is one of the best contemporary dance company in the country. So, and I got the job. They gave me a position as a member of the company. And the reason why, during the audition, there was like people doing like stretching and doing like legs up, touching the sky, if you want to say it, like crazy flexibility. I'm
Wow.
like, man, I've been training this thing for 3 years. My leg is not even that high. What are the chances that I'm gonna get this job? So I was intimidated by
Yeah.
that. But
Mhm.
after the audition was done, the director came and said, like, okay, now I want everybody that I was selected. 10, 10, 10 female, 10 male, each person to go one by one, and the judge will watch you, and then you just improvise. Do whatever you want, and then we want to see what improvisation skills are. I watch everybody doing this stuff. I'm like, yeah, that person can turn so well. That person can jump so well. I said, now, since I'm the only African here, let me bring Africa to you guys. You know?
And that's it. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
that's it. That was the moment that pretty much brought me to the place where I am right now. I was singing in native language, Shwabo. I was dancing traditional African dance. My body was shaking. I was whistling and I was like making weird faces and stuff. They're like, this is different. This is not contemporary dance. We want that. We want him. So I
Ooh.
was chill. I'm like, you know what? I crushed it. I told myself I crushed it. That moment, I owned it.
Mm.
I felt unique. I felt so unique that moment. So the
Mm.
next day, I got a phone call, and they told me, Pulga, we want to offer you the position of as a member of the company. So I danced with TDT for 11 years until 2019. I left the company to become an independent and focus on myself. So that's what's been happening now.
Wow, Pulga.
I'm sorry for a long story like that.
No, 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 no. Don't apologize
Okay,
because I don't
great.
know if you
Hmm.
I don't know if you believe in God, but I just
Yeah,
feel like every single thing that happened,
yeah.
it felt like you were going according to like design and a plan because
It's God's will. Yeah.
I'm one of those people. I don't believe in coincidences and like, it's just a coincidence. I don't believe in that. I believe
No,
that
no.
everything in life is intentional.
Yeah.
according to a plan and a design. And Pulga,
Yes.
your story is so beautiful and inspiring.
Yeah, bro.
Shout out to people like Kathy, like who just
Yeah.
looks at someone and says, "You know what? Let me pay for your
Yeah.
tuition." You know what I mean? Because she basically
Exactly.
she sponsored you, like she was your sponsor
Oh yeah.
here in Canada. And where will you find that? Where,
No,
you
you
know what I
don't.
mean?
You don't. And also like I'm like 18 going to 19, okay? And this is like another I'm a man now. At this moment when you're 19, 18, 19, you're able to make choices that are good or not good, that you can
Hmm.
pay the price for it, you know?
Yes.
And the fact that she trusted me to actually be in her house and not knowing me so well, I'm like, you don't even know me. I mean,
Wow.
I can be a criminal in Mozambique,
Yep.
you know, like, but she just had the vision that, nope, I don't see that in your eyes. I think you're a good person. I'm gonna just believe that you're gonna be fine. And I was, you know, like, trust me, I did everything I could to make Kathy proud. I was following everything online, you know. I was coming home on time, you know, because back home when you say I'm coming today, it's tomorrow, right? So
Right. But I mean, Polga, like
yeah.
your story is so inspiring. When you were saying it, I started to tear up.
Mm.
I'm not going to lie. My eyes
Oh,
were starting to.
see?
I was like, "Who is cutting onions here?" My
Oh
eyes started to
boy.
tear and go for
Yeah.
real because that your story is so beautiful and powerful, and it kind of
Mm.
gives hope to, like, it brings hope to people. Like
Hmm.
it inspires hope that somebody
Yeah.
can help you. Like your helper can come from
Hmm.
literally anywhere. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing. That is just amazing. And I hope that, your story inspires you to like do that for someone else in whatever way, shape, or form. You know what I mean?
That story that I told, he created like meaning in my life. You know, like
Mm.
he gave me purpose. Now I have a purpose, and my purpose is
Hmm.
the same purpose that I had, which is support as many people as I can.
Mm.
And this goes from my family. Like we did a fundraiser 2 years ago to build a cultural center back in my town
Hmm.
for artists. You know, like and they have a space that they can actually go and practice for free. Yeah,
Amazing. Amazing.
we
Wow.
did that. You know,
Oh
so
my god, I'm so amazed. I've been saying wow this whole time. I'm just like, this is so cool.
Sarah is getting to know me so well now.
Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. My
Bless,
story is
bless.
very much different. I moved here
Mm.
as a international student,
Uh
and
huh.
then I went through the whole like going to school, then applying
Yeah.
for work permit. Then as an
Mm-hmm.
artist, that is one of the most difficult things
Oh
you
God,
can
yeah.
do
Oh
is
yes.
try to get papers through being an
Oh
immigrant and
yes.
through like freelance work and through, oh my
Oh
god,
yeah.
but here we are.
After working with you, like, it's also like you work hard. You put a lot of energy into things that you believe on. That's what it gets you where you are right now. Too, as you said, it believe in the destiny. Like all
Yep.
those tireless days of school and visa and money and stuff. Now look at you, like in Stratford, doing your thing. You know, come on.
I'm trying one step at a
Yo,
time,
shout
one
out,
day at a time.
shout out, shout out. I see you.
Yeah, I see you too. I see you too. I see
Great,
you too.
great, great.
And let's talk about what that was like for you, leaving
Hmm,
family behind. You
hmm.
know what I mean? Because in your case, you now have a family of your own based here in Canada. Now you have
Mm-hmm.
kids, beautiful
Bless.
babies. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
How is that? Like how would you articulate that process being of missing home so dearly, missing your friends, missing family, what that
Yeah.
separation was like for you, and then getting to a place of connecting that bridge in a way of building your own family and creating your own, memories and stuff with your
Mm-hmm.
family.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that. Talk about that.
Wow. I mean, leaving family behind was the toughest part. You know, I actually, people don't ask me a lot of questions like that. Like, you're like one of a few people that ask me questions like that. I don't even ask myself those questions. I try to forget it, but it's
Mm,
not. And the forgetting is more like because I don't want to create the pain of the things that that comes with it. But it's just life. I cannot forget. I cannot ignore it. But to answer the question, like, living home was really really hard. Like in Canada, for like, even took me a while for me to find like home here. even though I was living here, but I didn't find it. I was searching for it. So, like, also, like, I left home. I left my older brother who was sick, very sick at the time when I came here, and
Mm.
sometimes I feel like I failed him because I had a dream to, like, help him as much as possible. I did, but I feel like I didn't do enough. So
Mhm.
there were certain things that I feel guilty about. Like, my parents are getting older. I feel like I haven't spent enough time with them. When I go home, it's like
Mhm.
1 month and I get busy working. So I need to learn how to not do that. And then I get here, then I regret. I'm like, I wish I spent more time with them, you
Mm.
know? But at a time, like, for me, living home was really hard. Like, friends. I just feel like I wish I had friends like the friends that I had back home here. The friends that you can go and sit on someone's wall. Those fancy houses that people just sit on the wall and look around, do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Or
wanted
you
that.
sit at the or you sit at the back of the car like on the boot and just chat and do nothing all day.
Yeah. Uh
Or
huh.
just
A broken
relax or in the evening. Yeah.
one of those cars that nobody drives, been broken for like years, just sits in the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. and
Exactly.
and then that's why we used to group, like, you see with your guys and the girls are passing by and you like whistling and doing that traditional thing. Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then the girls were like, stupid man, like give you the finger and stuff, and like, so I'm like, yeah, that was home, man. That was just a thing. I
Mm.
was craving a moment that you go to someone's neighbor's house at night and you like throw rocks and trying to get some mangoes out and catch a few
Oh my
mangoes and run away. And
gosh. Yes. And just pluck
yeah,
fruits. Yes. Yes.
oh
Yes.
yes. And then
Oh,
you hear the dog and you climb the tree and stay quiet for a few seconds because you cannot run.
yo, that is so real. That is so real. I
That's-
I never as a kid, I never had the courage to actually like climb trees, but I
yeah.
had a big cousin that we called auntie because she was just way older than us.
Mm-hmm.
And she
Mm-hmm.
would be the one, like we'll be down on the bottom with like a
Yeah.
bucket or a tray
Oh
or
yeah.
something or plate, and then
Oh
she's
yeah.
plucking it
Mm-hmm.
and throwing it at us, and we're trying to
Oh yeah.
catch it in the bucket. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
To like eat
Yes.
later.
Yeah. My
Memories.
neighbor, I was never caught, but my neighbor knew it was me. I was always taking all of his sour sap. He knew it was me. Sour sap was like my thing. And
Mm.
I go
I
to his
miss sour
tree.
stuff though.
Oh yes, I once in a while I buy it here because things like that. I miss home, and he knew it. It's like, oh man, Pulga. I know it's Pulga. I'm gonna catch him one day. They never caught me because I was
Never caught you.
really
You were slick.
no, very slick. Things like that, I knew my stuff, and I was hanging out with the people that like, yeah, it was a thing. So guys will go there and do their thing. So I feel like coming here, I was craving things like that because everything, in North
Mm.
America, I mean, sometimes, we just forget about how privileged we are here. Because,
Mhm.
you wake up and the fridge is full of food and like groceries like 5 minutes
Mhm.
away. You don't even go to someone's house without calling, without making an appointment,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, you have to give a call someone, hey, I'm coming today, are you free? Back home you just knock someone's door and they open the door and they welcome you. You sit down, you wash your hand, and you eat.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly, you talked about something so powerful, and
Mm,
that's guilt. I know some people
mm,
that are like, no guilt over here. I'm happy to move forward and all that. But I carry a bit of that as an immigrant myself. And I know
mm,
people that carry that like, oh,
yes.
I want to go back and, retire at home and spend my money back
Mm,
home, or I want to like,
mm,
invest in businesses back home as my way of giving back, or I want to try to
yeah.
visit, like you said, try to visit and
Yeah.
really try to be present, even though it'll be inconvenient, some things will be very inconvenient. There's no 24-hour
Yeah.
electricity, the
Oh,
generators
for
can be
sure.
so loud and like all those
Oh
different
yeah,
things. But
that's right.
that I think what you said there is really powerful. And
Oh yeah.
it's such a weird thing too, because like there really isn't anything to be guilty about, but then
No.
there's still the heart still kind of like feels that of like,
Oh,
oh,
for
i'm
sure.
abandoning i'm
Yeah.
abandoning people that love me, I'm abandoning people, and there's no
Yeah.
easy way to bring them here for them to be with
Yeah.
me. So
For sure.
yeah.
And this is on my side, right? Because if
Hmm.
if I ask my family about me leaving, they'll be like, "Oh, the best thing that ever happened to our family." You see, like
Mm.
they would say in a different way. Even though I'm
Mhm.
sad and I'm like, oh man, I feel guilty. I feel sad that I left you guys behind. And they're like, no, 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 we're glad you left. Go find your. I'm
Yes.
like, wow, okay, go find your life, go find your future, go live your life. As a matter of fact, you
Mhm.
doing that support us a lot. So we happy that you're doing that, and I'm happy
Yeah.
to be doing that for them. You know, one of the best advice my brother gave me that sometime when I tell people laugh, I'm like, I know, sounds stupid, but I understand where it comes from. He told me like, when you go to Canada, and if whatever case happens, leave in the streets. I don't care. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, don't come back. There's nothing here for you. You're gonna come back here, hang out with your friends, sit in a car, drink alcohol, and then be in trouble. Just go live in the streets. I'm like, what are you talking about? But then when you actually go deep on what he's saying, though, he's saying like your life is better off there where you have opportunity to live your life than here. I mean, I come from a very, very poor family, you know? So when you actually experience really, really poor stuff, you would understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. But you
Yes.
see, but going back to the guilt for a second, it's not even always about like, oh, I abandoned family. It's almost
Hmm.
like the longer that you're away from Africa or from your country, from your
Hmm.
culture, from like the original food, from the soil, from the
Hmm.
language and the accent and the pidgin or vernacular language or the traditional language, it just
Yeah.
feels like a separation in a way.
Yes.
I find myself having a desire to grasp onto everything and not lose my Nigerian ness. So like in as much as like I can switch into some sort of,
Oh
Canadian
yeah.
accent, I can still break it down in my Nigerian accent. If you speak my pidgin, I can still speak my pidgin. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
oh
like there's
yes.
that desire to hold on to as much of it as possible for as long as possible and pass that
100%.
on, even though now you're in another side of the world, but that desire to preserve culture,
Yeah.
that desire to preserve your culture, your language, your music, your food, your way of life, the rhythm in your body and all those things, and pass it down to your
Yeah.
kids. Talk about that for me.
Yes. I mean, I love cooking. Like I always make my fufu in there, you know?
Okay.
We call it we call it shima back home, but fufu is the one almost everybody in North America would know as,
Yes.
So I make my fufu with okra sauce and shrimp and stuff like that. So things like that are like food that my sister taught me a lot of stuff about cooking and cleaning and making your bed, that kind of stuff. She was like all about manners,
Mm-hmm.
like even for me to get a pierce on my left ear, she was like not happy about it. She's like, what are you doing? She was very strict and things like that.
Yep.
So when I come here, I feel like, for my kids, for example, I wanted them to understand like I'm very proud of being Africa, and they have to know that that's also their home, you know. Well, I have two kids now. I have the 4, almost 4 years old, and the 5 months old baby. So the boy's name is Kafri. Kafri means black in my language. Hmm.
Mm.
So
Mm.
his name is his African name is Prince Kafri, Black Prince, because I wanted him to understand like that, he's a black boy and he has to learn to respect and love his culture and his skin color. It's very easy to fall back from that from the
Mm-hmm.
society in general. So, and things like that you actually understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm teaching him something that he still doesn't know yet until he's gonna grow up and understand. Like now I understand why my father named me this. And then my
Mm-hmm.
daughter's name is Oko. Oko is like Okodela, which means
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Trust me, one day they're gonna grow up and be like, I'm so glad I have an African name. From time to
Yeah.
time, I bring up my native language to them, the Schwabo. Sometimes my son is like, I don't want to talk like this. He brings his Canadian thing. Then I'm like, you know what? It's cool, but you're not gonna stop me from doing that. You can choose not to do it, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna stop it though. So I that's the kind of
Yeah.
thing that I feel like I have to bring it up here. And especially people also, like when I go to like restaurants or stuff like that and people are like, you have an accent. I'm like, yes, I'm African and proud.
Can we rant about accents for a second? Can we
Let's go.
rant about accents for a second? Nobody was born with an accent. It's not a biological
Right.
feature that a person
Yes.
has. It's a way of speaking. There's
Correct.
dialect, there's language, there are different
Yes.
tongues from different
Yes.
cultures. At the end of the
Hmm.
day, you have an accent, I have an accent.
Especially in the country that belong to the First Nation people. Like clearly,
Exactly.
this language is a colonized language in a sense that we're speaking right now. So, of course, most of us are gonna have an accent.
Honestly, every single person has an accent. Whether it's a Canadian accent or your whatever dialect you speak, whatever tongue
Done.
you have, every single person has an
Correct.
accent. We
Yes.
all do. And it's fine. If you can understand what I'm
Yes.
saying, why do you feel the need to bring up the
Right.
fact that I have an
Yes,
accent?
exactly. Even like, for example, like Nigeria, for example, when you speak the language, for example, and I hear somebody speaking the same language from Nigeria, you can hear a different kind of tonality with it.
Hmm.
Isn't that great? Shouldn't be we appreciating the fact that we have
Yes.
something special?
Yeah, especially for a country like
Yeah,
Canada that refers to itself as a mosaic, like of
correct.
different cultures, where it's possible for you to preserve your culture while living in Canada,
Right,
right?
right.
Accent is part of that.
100%.
Accent is part of that. Language is part of that.
I think you and I are speaking of the same thing, so it's nice that you're putting more into it as well. It's great.
Oh yeah. There's such a thing with like accents and
Mm.
intelligence. Like people believe that oh the moment you have an accent, oh you
Yeah.
must be oh where are you
Hmm.
from? Oh you sound are you they start to kind of question your
Yeah.
intelligence and question if you deserve to be there.
The word is sophistication.
Ooh.
If you don't speak with, like when I took my wife to Mozambique in 2000 and when was that, 17, I think. My parents were like, bring a knife and fork. I say, "Hey, no, 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 let's put that away, please put that away. Bring me
Mhm.
the water with the bucket. We all gonna wash hands. She will wash her hands." I feel like she
Yep.
actually wants that.
Yes.
She came here to learn this culture. That's what she wanted. But I understand my parents were like, wow, you come from North America, we're gonna treat you differently because you guys are sophisticated. I'm like, no, I don't want that. I want you to treat me
Mhm.
like the same person I was before I left here.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
100%. And is that weird thing I think as a society we need to get rid of.
Mm,
If you can understand what a person is saying, they're speaking
mm.
clearly. Even if they're not speaking clearly, have grace and have
Pa-
kindness. You know what I mean? For
patience.
for people that,
Yeah.
like you were saying, you literally were saying that you started learning English from a
Right.
dictionary.
Yeah.
Do you know like that's hard.
Yes.
That is very
Until
hard.
now,
You know what I
my
mean?
son is 3. He corrects my English, and gladly I'll accept it. But also, I'm like, you know what?
Mhm.
I forget that actually this language is still new to me. I've been here for 16 years, 17 years, still new. So if you don't have
Yep.
patience with people that came here 2 years ago that are trying to learn, come on. It takes more than that to actually learn. Probably you will just never learn. You just keep learning. That isn't that life? Because also
Mhm.
we have to, like for people that are come here with no language, they do everything it takes to learn. But for people that are already here, they don't have to try too hard. Most of them, as far as I know, they already
Yeah.
it's like you have it. Whether you do it or not, you will learn it. It's part of the thing. But people
Mhm.
like me, you have to learn what this word means and what comes after this word, and if this word with this word, then your brain is developed to do that. you know where people that are actually born with the language, you don't have to create that brain mentality of putting those things together. You just know it.
Yeah, and in Nigeria, like English is the first
Hmm.
language,
Yeah.
right? We were colonized by the
Yeah.
British, so
Mm.
like English became our lingua franca. Is that the
Yeah.
term?
Ooh.
But English became like our
Yeah.
first language. And but you know what's interesting, and this is true for literally every single Nigerian immigrant that
Mm.
I've spoken to. Even though you're speaking the same English, it's
Oh yeah.
different. Like when you move to North America, when you move to whether
Oh
Canada or
yeah.
the US, it's very different. Like you're hearing what they're saying, but you're not hearing what they're
Exactly.
saying.
It's funny. Like when I went to Mozambique once, and I was talking, this lady comes to me and she said hello in the native language, and then I said hello back, and then we went to the conversation. I was going for it, and those guys were looking at me like, "Bruh, what's going on, man? You live in Canada. You haven't forgotten this thing?" I'm like, wow,
Mm,
this is sad, man. You actually want me to forget the thing that is the most important to me right now, which is like the culture and the language, and you want me to actually focus on being better at English? No, I feel like for me it's the opposite. I actually wish that if I wish I spoke my native language more, but there's not a lot of people here that do. Of course, this the community is too small.
yeah. There's almost this weird cultural
Yeah.
superiority thing where people expect that like white culture
Mm-hmm.
or, American or European, North American
Mm-hmm.
culture is just inherently better than
Oh
African
yeah.
culture. There's just that weird mentality that I found where people are just like, oh, like there's just this kind of like side eye that they
Hmm.
give you when you're going hard for your culture, or you're
Yes.
choosing like to speak in your accent, or there's just this weird thing of like, oh, you're
Yeah.
from there, wow, you know what I mean? There's that
Yeah.
snobbery, which I found to be very, very
Yeah.
interesting and ridiculous.
Exactly.
But oh my goodness, communication here is
Yeah.
so intricate and
Yeah.
layered, and as an immigrant you are finding your way like you're in a maze, like, oh, that's a wall, nope.
One thing that bothered me a lot, even until now it does, is the word "what do you mean?" Because I don't know. I grew up in a place like whatever you said is actually what you meant.
Exactly.
but but here, if I see you like, oh wow, like for example, if you give a seat to somebody, a lady, okay, here's the seat. They're like, why? Is that because I'm old? No, I didn't mean like that. I'm just giving you a seat, please. It's just a polite thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know what you're thinking, but I think the gesture is clear. I didn't mean anything. Just I'm just being nice.
Yeah.
Can I be nice without meaning something else?
It's that cultural difference too, where like
Hmm.
it's something that's seen as respect in one
Yeah.
culture is seen as disrespect in another culture, which is just mind-boggling to, like, as an immigrant, try to integrate yourself in the society and understand. You can really turn your head upside down because you don't want to
Of
hurt
course
people's
not.
feelings, like you don't want to be
Yes.
disrespectful, but it's so hard not to step on those toes until you find a way, until you learn, right?
No, I think people want you to be your full self, but it's not easy to be your full self when when you come from a different country with a different culture. You have to like watch and learn and understand how things are done before you do anything. Before your full self, you have to like cut it. You have to cut it a little bit.
And people want you to be your full self until you are actually being your full self.
Until you bring your full self, they're like, oh no, 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 please no, please don't.
But
Hmm.
Pulga, thank you so much. This has been such an amazing, enlightening conversation with you. I appreciate you taking the
Yeah.
time. I appreciate you being a
Yeah.
guest on Afros in the Diaspora.
Nice.
And I just need you to drop one word of advice for the listeners, one little gem that we can just live here today with.
Man, I mean, there's a lot of things that I know, advice that I can give, but most advice everybody already know and they heard. Like be nice and be kind and be respectful and just care. I think we all know that. It's just like you have to be kind to people, and also you have to know that everybody's going through
Hmm.
something. So if someone hurt you a little bit with something, be patient. They're going through something that they
Yeah.
can't say. Man, there's a lot of things that I love. Can I share one or two or three or
Or
two?
two.
I'll go with two. My
Hmm.
mother-in-law gave me this advice. Said it's not about finding the right partner. It's about being one.
Ooh. Ooh.
Right?
Okay.
In my mind, because we always, and
Mm.
that applies to life in general, because we say like when someone is being hard, you feel like it's their fault all the time, but I'm like, it's maybe it's not them. It's not it's about
Wow.
being a good person. It's not about, it's not and that for me it hit me. It's not about finding the right partner. It's about being one. If you work at being good one, and that other person is working at being a good partner, then that's it. And this is life in general. This is not just a relationship thing. This is work. If
Wow.
I'm working with you and I'm working at being my best and you working at being your best, we come together, we go in the right direction. It's not a, I don't want to point finger at you if I'm not doing my job. And yeah, so that's one of
Wow.
those advice. And then the African proverb that I go by is like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Ooh, snaps on snaps on
Money.
snaps.
That's money. If you want to go fast.
Wow. Because that's true. It speaks to the power of community
Exactly. If
too.
you go together, because people are with you, you just have to ask. You just have to know that people are there for you. But in North America,
Yes.
I think people like to go fast. Back home, people like to go far. Like raising a child is everybody's job. You're not rushing to get this kid to university. You're rushing for this kid to learn the principles of life right now, first here,
Mm.
how to respect people,
Mm.
how to do certain things, but here is like, oh my god, I want to drop my
Mm-hmm.
kid and then pick him up at 5 o'clock, and then 3 years later I want my kid to go to this school, this is it, and then we keep forgetting about the now,
Wow.
now, now.
Being
Yeah.
present. Thank you so much, Polga. That is so insightful and very wise. Um,
Bless. Yeah.
Again, I can't thank you enough for
No,
being one of our guests for this
thank you.
podcast. And tell the people where they can find you on the Insta or
Yeah,
on the
I'm
internet.
in all platforms. You can find me Pulga Dance. That's my company, Pulga Dance, and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and my website is www.pulgadance.com. Yeah, so that's the way to find me. And also shout outs to you, Sarah, man. I appreciate you having me in your podcast. I knew it. I'm like, when you asked me, I'm like, this is gonna be fun, because I feel like you have this energy that it just makes people comfortable around you. So I feel like I came here with that, knowing that this is gonna happen. So thank you.
Uh, Thank you,
Yeah,
Polga.
boy.
I received that. Thank you
Yeah,
so
boy. Yeah, boy.
much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Thank you
you.
again for being a part of this podcast. And
Thank you.
yeah, for our listeners, we'll see you in the next podcast. Stay
One
tuned.
love.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Afros in the Diaspora. I hope this episode left you feeling inspired and hopeful. To engage, feel free to like, follow, share, and subscribe to Afros in the Diaspora on all social media and podcast platforms. Remember to leave a review and a rating. If you would like to be a guest, please reach out. Send an email to hi@afrosinthediaspora.com. That is hi@afrosinthediaspora.com. Or send us a DM on Instagram at afrosinthediaspora. Remember, there is beauty in our stories and power in our voices. Together, we are stronger. Until next time.